download it, update, then you'll have the patch there for tomorrow. But PTR will let us test stuff too, so there's gonna be a lot of testing that we're getting through. There's some stuff that's just like general fixes to main story progression. We don't really care about that. Some combat stuff that's like kind of minor, but not super important. Riding mounts while heart runes is active is kind of funny with the monkey ult, but test stam red for sure and conversion if you're brave enough. Yeah, it's gonna be the plan for tomorrow. So there's like some stuff here that's like they had general blocking buffs. This is basically just SNS get big increase to its viability just from a blocking standpoint as a tank perspective. I still don't think a lot of people are gonna be blocking a lot, but no one really blocks a ton. Yep. Thanks for coming out, EU guys who are tired. Understand if you want to go to bed, but so blocking gonna be good, or it's gonna be better. I just don't think it's gonna be good. They're basically just increasing them across the board. So if you had like a thing that was blocked like 70% of the damage, and then you took 30%, they're just increasing that to be like 80-20, for example. So they're just buffing everything, and everything that buffed 100%, like it just gets a stem increase. No lifers that just woke up. Yeah, we got people with different time zones that are getting on now. It's getting a little chaotic. This is a big change, consume, so you can't pop a consume from inventory. The thing that this affects the most in war is haste. Haste you're gonna have to put on your bar when you come back for a run from a certain objective, and then you're gonna have to take it off your bar. Uh, so that's just gonna be kind of annoying to deal with, but we can probably deal with it. Uh, it did some Odo stuff where Odo wasn't actually doing damage to stun people. So people on NA in particular have been running Flail Warhammer, and they originally thought this would be really good with Odo, but Odo didn't work, so they stopped running Odo. But now we might go back to Flail Warhammer with Odo, so that your Warhammer deals more damage now. So that's a cool thing. They are adjusting the Void Gauntlet and the Inferno so that they actually do damage with their dot effects, which is really nice. I don't believe they mentioned the Pest on here, but Pest doesn't do a ton of damage with its dot effects either, so hopefully that is changed a bit. Why Flow Warhammer? It's just like tons of CC, and it's a little bit better towards clumps. So like SNS Flail is really good for single target, but Flail Warhammer is very good for group play. So it's just better versus bigger clumps because we have better CC for that situation. It's also able to infinite, or it's able to combo people in like almost one shot combo. They have some interesting changes between Ankh and Blood Drinker. So Blood Drinker is basically getting buffed in terms of its lifesteal effects. Are getting, or they added a 5% bonus to all lifesteal healing while active. So it's like while you have that Blood Drinker out, you're just going to get that like 5% bonus to healing, and I believe this is going to be multiplicative, or at least it sounds like it's going to be multiplicative. So this will just make it so that you're a lot more self-sufficient with the Blood Drinker, and then they're nerfing how Ankh works with lifesteal, basically, where that's not going to be that heal mod is not going to be working versus lifesteal. So there's an incentive now to run the Blood Drinker, because before Ankh was just literally better than the Blood Drinker. So now you have like Blood Drinker has an opportunity to shine as a more solo oriented thing, but then you're going to have a large damage reduction, so it comes with a heavy cost. But in like a meta where healers are super CC'd, like maybe Blood Drinker has a spot in the light, like we'll kind of see. OPR, I think Blood Drinker won't be bad at all. Gems, there's a lot of like interesting like adjustments, I guess. Like they basically buffed the super conditional ones, like Onyx got buffed, Emerald got buffed, Moonstone got buffed, Jasper got buffed, uh, Opal got nerfed. So that's something that's noteworthy. And then Carnelian got a soft buff. Sapphire kind of got an equal adjustment. Like it matters a little bit, but not a ton. Uh, and then in terms of the other gem stuff, they adjusted this from like scaling from a T2 before. This used to be 200% scaling for 20% of the value. And then this is changing to 50% of instead of that 200. So that 200 is going to 50. And then it's scaling for 60% instead of 20. So it's like basically a fundamental change is going to make it so T5 gems are just the best gem, and there's no more this weird like, hey, you should go a T2 gem for your best in slot gem setup for this weapon combo. It's going to be like, no, you want to run T5. A T5 will let you do the most damage. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out with something like the blunderbuss that is mostly trying to do like int-based stack builds. I imagine the way this is going to work out is like you're probably not going to see as many elemental gems slotted because it doesn't give you just a damage increase, and instead people will go for the old conditional gems, which just got changed. So I don't imagine these will be used as much, but the spot where these will be used more is for conversion things, because the conversion gems will now consistently convert 50% of weapon damage to the element associated with the gem, regardless of tier. And then the main thing here that's like very important is uh, they'll scale all of the weapon's damage to int focus if these attributes are higher than the base weapon's attributes. So basically, you'll just do more damage if you do int and focus at the random thing. What's the best kill squad build right now? It really depends on the region, but in my opinion, probably Flail SNS. But it's like kind of biased. So this is basically just going to let you just be more flexible. So if you look at like what builds are like being played right now, or in terms of like what weapons, you're not seeing a lot of variety from like I guess like more strength-based weapons. So now the idea with this is like now you could have one of those int-based gems with the strength-based weapon, right? So you could run greatsword, you could run sword, rapier you could run before technically, lifestyle you can run before technically. You could run bow, you can run warhammer, you can run musket, you can run hatchet. Like all of these will be able to like work with like a focus-based setup now. They'll be able to work with like an int-based setup, so you could have more variety. The spot where this gets kind of interesting is like a life staff technically could be a lot more variety. Like you can go a life staff with a warhammer, for example, and you wouldn't be giving up that much damage on your warhammer. You could go life staff with a musket, and then you could have traps. Like you could do like kind of really weird stuff there. Most likely, people will still run the rapier with the life staff, but for the flail, like I can go flail with the warhammer, and I can go a focus tree, and I wouldn't lose that much from a warhammer side. Lifestyle Life Scout will probably be really good, I bet. I mean, people ran that before. It just doesn't deal a lot of damage, but yeah, now it will actually do damage. So, like, that's a big buff to IG too, because IG's is good utility, and you can run that with the focus base setup now. So, like, there's like buffs across the board for like focus and int based stuff here. So that's all looking pretty good. Uh, they removed incompatible elemental perk resistances from gems. So if you had attunement, you couldn't mix another gem that was contradictory to that attunement. This is particularly annoying for PvE, mostly. Like this is just a good change for PvE. It doesn't really affect PvP that much, to be honest. So but these gem changes are very going to be very impactful. You'll probably see a decent amount more variety builds, especially in 3v3 and OPR. Imagine if you new cheese builds come out. The only thing that concerns me from this is that strength is just like worse than int. Like if you can go int, you just go int. So I'm very curious to see if like strength builds do well after this, or if everyone's like, you know, let's just run int because this bonus turns out to be pretty good. This bonus turns out to be pretty good. This bonus turns out to be good. This is good. This isn't really that insane for most people, but like a lot of these int bonuses are actually like super solid. So I wouldn't be surprised if people like start running a bunch of int and kind of encourage like yeah more cheesy ability combo builds. What gems do you think BBs will run? I don't know what gem exactly, but BBs are probably going to still run 350 int, like 100 strength to 200 strength. Uh, if I had to guess right now, they'll either go for a T5 fire with the rune glass, and then it'll just do fire damage increase so that they get more damage out of all those autos, or they'll go for just ignore that completely and just go for an opal setup. But fire gem like sounds decent to run with a fire damage ring, and then fire damage rune glass, and you kind of go the whole 9 yards there, and you just increase all your fire damage by a decent amount. So that one will be interesting. Flail, they fixed some bugs with it. There's nothing here that is super game changing. The only one that kind of is there was an issue where cured flow element wasn't like not procking, like that could be a big thing. And then there was a vortex thing where the haste effect wasn't procking. So flail overall gets a soft buff this patch. Most of his other stuff is just changing kind of name related things. Spear got a small nerf to the jab infinite CC combo, so that might not be possible, but honestly probably could still be possible. But I think they saw the whelps video and were like, we probably don't want to let that be a thing. And they finally got rid of that after that was in the game for literally years and terrorized 1v1 battles. Uh, Life staff also got a really big change here, where the sacred will not affect consumes nor lifesteal healing. So you're not going to be able to just walk into a sacred, pop a health pot, and not die anymore. And I believe there was one other change to pots where potions will actually heal the full amount. I don't remember where I saw that in here, but I think potions will heal the full amount. They versus before they heal for like 70%. It's like a PvP exclusive change. So yeah, they removed this consume heal mod adjustment. So now they'll heal at full percent instead of healing at like 70% or something like that. So pots are back to where they used to be. They got a buff. This will probably feel good in OPR, and will be nice across the board. Wait, why? Because they didn't want people to keep dying from it. I don't know. It just wasn't fun. I liked the pots change. I did not. I kept bleeding out everywhere. It was not very fun. It made it more healer dependent. It was like in the wrong direction. But in my opinion, like I think you shouldn't need to be dependent on a healer, and you're very dependent on a healer. Legitimately, no one liked the pots change into PTR. Yeah, it's like it was just not fun. Endless toast buff actually usable now? Potentially. Uh, yeah. So they're adding like those artifacts that run the season thing, like Endless Thirst. You can now get this from Mutated Savage Divide. So like that's like something that you can get from the PvP reward track right now. Tumbler Feet Wraps you can get from OPR. Caches, which honestly sucks. Like if you don't have tumblers right now, you probably want to get tumblers because like getting it like from an RNG OPR cache is just like terrible, especially because OPR caches are just not very fun to grind through. So there's like some changes there. Outpost Rush, they're improving their rewards. This is kind of expected. I saved my crates for something like this. They're guaranteed that items given as a result of participation are loot bias, so you put on the PvP gear that you want, and it will be doing that. Level 65 OPR rush crates now also run a slightly improved gear score range for players. The problem here is you still can't upgrade your pieces to 700, so it's likely not best in slot still. I don't know if I would use my OPR crates unless I didn't have the tumblers. Like if I didn't have tumblers, I'd probably use my OPR crates, but I think they'll buff this further, honestly, because the OPR like stuff loot is just like absolutely horrid right now. I would not be surprised if they let you upgrade it in the future at some point. And then they're adjusting the XP that you get from OPR versus 3v3. So 3v3 when trading stonks are down a lot, and OPR stonks are up a lot. So if you're one of those people that didn't want to PvP, you're going to have to PvP to get your artifacts. PvP track is worthless at the moment, aside from artifacts. And then if you're 200, good luck getting artifacts. Yeah, they buffed the artifacts for 200. Uh, do 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 do. Yeah. Uh, there's something in here for 200 gear score. Yeah, right here. Adjusted the odds in a reward track, make artifacts more likely to appear at 200 gear score or higher, so that would be a little bit better. But yeah, it's not ideal. 200 plus doesn't even drop 690 gear, bro, and I get less gold than regular levels do. Yeah, I mean, it's just bugged. I don't know what's going on. Continues reverse stab is not troll thanks to the pot change. I mean, true before, but now with the pots going back, like it was gonna not be as impactful. But it seems like overall, it's just like the changes are, I mean, kind of in the right direction. I think they definitely missed on some things, but the main thing is that they just need to get healers to be consistent in OPR if they're gonna make the metas healer dependent. Like you just need to have equal healers between both teams, and once they fix that, I think OPR will be in a decent spot, and then they'll actually be able to balance because they try to balance stuff off OPR. Like the war meta and OPR meta are just so different right now because of the healer situation. It's like actually ridiculous. It feels like 2 steps forward, 3 steps backward. Yeah, I mean, they hit on a couple things though. Like the change to the gems, I think is really good. Like this is just like the right idea. Like this, it did not make sense the way it was before. And then like these changes too. Like these are all just like good changes in my opinion. And then the concept change, I'm like pretty happy about. The blocking change like seems decent, but like it still feels cumbersome to block. Like it doesn't feel good to block. Uh, it's also like hard to block if you're on high ping, and a lot of people are on high ping. Like it's just fundamentally not going to be as useful as dodging for most modes. So I expect this to like change the meta a decent amount, but likely won't impact stuff a ton. So everyone is a bow next patch or OPR anyway? Yeah, I mean that's what it's gonna be. If there are no healers playing OPR in the first place, queues are either gonna be shit or there won't be any healers. I mean I'd rather have like a roll queue where you literally wait until there's like 4 healers per team. Like I think you need like 4 healers per team. If they did a thing like that, they'd probably be like, oh, you just need 2 healers, but that's not enough for OPR. Like if you have 4 healers, like 1 or 2 might actually heal. But yeah, I'm still looking for like a role queue kind of system or like MMR based matchmaking or something like that, like something to make the OPR queues a bit better. Because they do all their balancing off OPR, they don't really balance off of war. Because most people just play OPR if they're doing PvP and they're not playing other modes. So uh, I'm kind of surprised Bo didn't get nerfed if they just look at OPR data. But I guess they've looked at that before and they're like, oh, Bo doesn't actually win an OPR, but it is so annoying to play against. Just burn through all your pots. Low level mutation dungeons still have bugged loot. Yeah, I'm not surprised. People complained about bows too, much so they just make it to where everyone plays bow. No one complains about it. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like kind of an acceptance phase at this point. Like the OPR map just favors bows so much, they're just going to be very viable at all times. Conversion gems, buff bow, musket, and fire staff too. Yeah. I mean, that's probably a good thing, right? Because heavy is like kind of busted right now. So anything that like takes away from heavy is just like a good change. We don't like want too much heavy stuff. I don't know. I think this is like overall like in the right-ish direction. I'm gonna boot up New World again. There's like some other minor changes here.